Today we're going to be talking about issue 1 of Boom Comics' Power Rangers series. I couldn't really think of an intro, like quite a funny one. So yeah, today we're talking about issue 1 of Boom Comics, and it's not too bad, a lot longer than I thought it would be. The comic opens up on Bulk being the host of Bulk and Skull's YouTube channel called Ranger Station, and this is pretty cool because you kind of think that if you were in Angel Grove all around the world wanting to know more about the Power Rangers, that would be it. That would be the main case that you want. And yeah, I could see myself subscribing to it. It cuts in and out with Skull being kind of like butting in, and it kind of annoys Bulk. But then when it switches back, he introduces Skull, and they call them Rangerites and Rangerettes. And I quite like this. I think this is quite a cool way. I would have come up with something different than Rangerites. At the beginning, I think I would have thought of something different than that. They recap on everything to go with what's happened with the Power Rangers when Rita's come on, to where the Power Rangers come, and more information about that. By reading this, it sounds like Rita's been on Earth for a while, and then the Power Rangers actually turn up much later on, rather than day one, boom. We know Rita's been here for 10,000 years, but she wasn't 10,000 years like destroying Angel Grove, because that would be weird. I kind of think that within this one, the story is a lot longer, and my favourite part of it was when Bulk turns around and says, those big giant robots, where do they hide them? And I thought, oh, you're catching on, people, you're catching on. I just really like the way this was. It feels like Bulk is doing a kind of end title card, which is similar to this, and then Skull starts plugging straight away the premium like subscription base, which kind of reminded me of YouTube Red, as well as YouTube's thing of having like paid content that you pay for to actually watch, which I kind of see, it's nice that they're kind of putting that in there, and it kind of made me giggle. Bulk then starts describing about the Green Ranger and how he came to be, how he was fighting the Rangers, and then all of a sudden he's now joining them, saying it was the end of the era and the Green Ranger joins them. It kind of goes into like this sort of talking on the street to people, and you have different people saying stuff. So one woman starts talking about how they don't like the Green Ranger, and it's kind of multicolored. One person kind of starts talking about how they want to know more information rather than being kept in the dark. The Green Ranger was fighting and destroying things, and then all of a sudden he's with them. Then one kid's like, oh, I don't like the Green Ranger, it's too many people. And then it comes to Trini and Billy, and it's kind of nice that they've put them in there because we know they're all secretly friends, and they say that you know, they're happy that they're working together in teamwork. One person says, we rewatch the videos, you see the dragons all destroying the bridge, and they're not really happy about it. One more person starts talking about how they don't trust the Green Ranger, that they watched the video, and how could they trust someone that destroys someone? And you know, and can the Rangers actually trust him? And finally, they start talking to Tommy, who doesn't watch their station. You'd be like, Tommy, I thought you'd want to watch this before coming to Angel Grove. Bulk and Skull kind of like start talking to him and saying, look, you know, you should say, why do you love the Power Rangers? What do the Power Rangers mean to you? Kimberly steps in and says, look guys, you're pressurizing Tommy, you know, it doesn't feel natural, so you know, stop it, let him be. One of my kind of favorite parts is if you've seen the Captain America meme, where it's like, I get that reference. Tommy does a very similar one when Bulk's saying, oh, we're gonna go interview the French teacher. And Skull goes, ooh la la, and Tommy goes, I get that. I thought that was quite funny. It just reminded me of the Captain America sketch. We now have Kimberly and Tommy walking down like the hallway. They're talking about doing training and how Tommy's going to go to the juice bar. He doesn't know it's called the juice bar yet, but he's going to go there to train. Kimberly then says, look, yeah, we should train together, and then maybe we can do something after, like going for coffee. And Tommy's like, oh, hang on a minute, I thought you were a juice girl. And she's like, ah, Tommy, how little you know. And for me, I thought this was kind of a little bit naughty, because it's Kim flirting, and she's saying like, you've seen what this girl is about, but you don't know the real her. And I really like this, and I like the way that Kimberly's drawn. She looks amazing, so I kind of like that little cheeky reference. As Tommy is getting excited, and he's like, yeah, cool, let's do it. The bell rings, and they're like, darn it. Now, before turning the page, I thought it was a monster attack, but no, it's just the normal bell to let people know that the next lesson is starting. For the next 2 pages, it's quite short and simple. We have Zach sleeping in the middle of class, and you have Mr. Earls like saying, look, get up, wake up, after Jason was trying to get Zach up, but no. So Mr. Earls pretty much puts Zach into detention, and Jason's like, no, hang on a minute, that's not fair. You know, maybe you shouldn't let that happen. And then he's like, yeah, you both get in detention, boys. Get in detention after school. We then switch to the cafeteria. The Rangers are then talking about how it's unfair and how Zach could have got out of it, and Jason's like, really? I don't think you could. And he's like, well, I did better than you. which I find quite funny on this. Trini and Billy talking about how they're going to go look at the diagnostics of the Dragonzord and then see why it was freezing on Tommy and why it locked up. Tommy's entered the cafeteria and he is looking for a space, but people are watching the footage of what happened with the Megazord and the Dragonzord, and literally Rita is talking in his ear. Now, again, I can't remember if this was just like a sub thing or if this is back of his mind, but Rita's really kind of laying into him, and Tommy is putting him in a struggle, and he's saying, yeah, you know, he's strong. I think in the next few issues we're going to see Tommy break down completely and just go crazy for a while. Rita said, like, you know, how could you do this? Look at what all the people are. And also saying you almost killed people on the bridge from your actions. And Tommy's like, no, I'm stronger. I'm not going to let you get to me this way, Rita. And then literally the Ranger's like, hey, come over here. Tommy then joins them and they're all like, so what are you doing? You got a free lunch? And Tommy's like, yeah, I'm gonna join you guys, is that okay? And then the bell rings and they all have to just disappear. Poor Tommy, his first time, you think one of his friends would be like, I'll stay, you know, I'll take the same sort of lunches with you, but no, they all just disappear. Jason and Zach are now being interviewed by Bulk and they're talking a little bit about what's happened. It's kind of like mid-sentence, they're saying like, you know, Rita's got a big team too, so the Green Ranger obviously went over to their side and it doesn't really change much to them, really, to Rita's side. Bulk asks a really good question, and this links in later, and he says like, but can you trust him for what he's done? And you know, Jason steps up and says, look, everyone deserves a second chance, so this guy deserves a second chance as well. What I quite like is on the last panel you have Rita's palace. But it has the Ranger name of, I think it's, I can't remember what her name is, but it's on the actual the front of the castle, and I like this little touch to the original Sentai. I didn't really notice this until I looked again, but inside the building you have Rita sitting on Lord Zedd's throne, and I was like, oh, we never really saw this in the series, but now we have Rita sitting on the throne in the palace. It's not a balcony that we normally see. This is something, it's like, ooh, I like that putting in this. This means that later on, even though they've drawn it, Lord Zedd could come in, and I think we're going to be seeing him probably in the next couple of story arcs, or we could actually hear about him coming in very soon, like that's Lord Zedd's chair. They're talking about the crystal, they are talking about, you know, can they use it now? And Rita's like, no, we need to give it more chaos, we need to have more power, we need it fully charged before we do anything, and it's still giving mystery. No one knows or what's been said about this, and I'm like, oh, I want to know, is it going to destroy the Rangers? Is it going to destroy the Green Ranger? Is it going to take something away? Who knows? So the mystery is still happening, so kudos to you, Boom Comics. Kudos. So at the end of the day, Jason and Zach are in detention, and Jason's like, come on Zach, you know, something's up. Why are you so tired? I know something's wrong. And Zach's like, well, I've got home problems, I've got family problems. And Jason's like, okay, you know, if you need to talk, I'm always here. And I like that. It shows that they're always going to be there no matter what. So Zach brings up a really interesting point. He says, look, you know, what do you think about Zordon choosing Tommy to actually join the team without actually talking to the other Rangers? And you'd kind of think, and this got me thinking as well, is this is a huge decision. So why, you know, having the Green Ranger join you is fine, but you think you talk it over to your team first, rather than just saying, cool, you're going to be in the team, because the others may have some problems after the damage that he's caused. Jason is like, yeah, it does bother me a little, but he's keeping it back, and I think this is going to be a major big plot later on when he blows up, and I reckon that they're going to fight much later on, and it's going to be quite an intensive battle, or at least one or two punches. So Jason then starts talking about how Zordon trusts them and believes in the 5 team, so literally he believes in Tommy as well. We now enter a battle scenario with Kimberly and Tommy. Kimberly is piloting the pterodactyl, and Tommy is fighting all the putties and saving the people around. He asks for covering fire, and what happens here is that you see people hurt after all the putties are completely like kind of destroyed or knocked down. You see that people are kind of hurt from it. Now, are they hurt from the putties or are they hurt from the pterodactyl? Tommy has to choose a path for these guys to take. So he goes off one area to another, and there's 2 ways. One leads to one way and one leads to another way. Tommy then says, look, we're going down this path, and at this point loads more putties, and I mean loads more putties, just come out of nowhere. At this point Rita is talking in his ear again and making him doubt himself. There are tons of putties, and all of a sudden you just hear the people screaming no, which means that they were either killed or knocked out, and this affects Tommy quite badly. After all this is a training simulation. Zordon is saying that there was no way to win this one. One way led to loads of putties, and one way led to the monster, so either way there is no way out. But I kind of think there would have been a way. I think there would have been a third way that if they thought about it properly, you would have seen them take a different route. Tommy is kind of beating himself up about it and he wants to go train again. So he says he's going to go on a solo act, and he tells Kimberly that he's not going to be able to go for coffee. And she's like, oh, okay, yeah, I can understand. But she's really devastated, and you kind of think, wow, you kind of think you take a bit of a break from that training simulation, because even though you know the outcome now, you know that it's going to be the same, or you're not going to be able to get out of it or find that third way, and that can take a long time. Tommy then retires back to his house at the end, and he rethinks about Bolt's question, is what do the Power Rangers mean to you? As he's thinking about it, Scorpina arrives, and boom, we have the end of the comic. And you kind of think of like, oh god, why did they never do this in the series? Why didn't they ever actually go and attack them at the home? It would be the easiest thing in the world. My final thoughts on this entire whole thing was very simple, is that it was nice artwork. It kind of dragged on a tiny bit, but you also see Tommy kind of beating himself up. Now, I don't really see Tommy doing this in the series, but it's kind of nice seeing an alternative version of Tommy doing pretty much everything. I like the way Kimberly's drawn. I definitely like it. I think that's really cool, and I just really like the artwork on this one. It's going to be an interesting storyline, and just that whole page of just Rita with the bad guys talking about it, I thought that was quite cool. So there's a lot of things that we can take away from this, and I can't wait for the next few issues that are coming out. They dropped down the variants, which again we'll probably cover at a much later date, or talking about them at the very end of the comic book run. But either way, I enjoyed the comic book series, and I would highly recommend getting it. So Rangers, your question of the day is, what do you think about this? What do you think about the whole comic book? What do you think the crystal is? What are your thoughts on just everything with this series? Let me know down below in the comments, and if you've liked this video, like, favorite, comment, and subscribe. Check out Yada Games, all that lovely goodness, and as always Rangers, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in a bit.